everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Marvel Legends 3 1/4 inch, the Collector's Vault box set from Hasbro. Now this set will also be sold starting tomorrow, August 9th on HasbroToyShop.com, so if you missed it at San Diego, you will have another shot to purchase it online. This comes in a rather large box. This box measures about 18 inches in width, and the height on this is just under 15 inches. On the front of the packaging, we have images of the collector and all the other characters in the set, and then on the side we again have artwork for the collector. The other side are the other characters, and then on the back of the packaging we have an image of all the figures in this set. So we've got Howard the Duck, Moon Boy, Lockjaw, the collector, and Cosmo. And then if you don't want to take your figures out of the packaging, you can display it in the packaging. This front flap opens up, it's attached with the Velcro. And so on one side, on the inside flap, you've got bios for each of the characters in the set. And then on the other side, we have a look at all the figures are displayed, and it's set up so it looks like the collector's actual vault. Okay, let's get these open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now before we get into the review, first let me just say a big thanks to Hasbro for sending this set out to us so that we could review it. Now first, before we look at the figures, let's take a look at the actual accessories. Okay, so we get 3 different accessories in this set, and they're all cosmic based. So we get the Casket of Ancient Winters, the Wand of Watum, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then the Zodiac Key. So the Zodiac Key is done with just this rubber material. It's very flexible, it's green, and you've got a little bit of sculpting, some line work sculpted on the front of it. But again, it's a very soft rubber that they've used for this. The casket is done with a metallic gold, and it's got pretty decent sculpting detail on it. You've got this little skull or whatever this is on the front, and then again, you just have some nice sculpting detail. It does not open or anything, it's just a solid piece of plastic. And then finally the Wand of Watum is done with this gold colored plastic, and you've got the little faces sculpted on this with the little horns and everything. So not a whole lot of detail with this, no real paint applications, but I do like the sculpting with the little faces, and it does look like it pretty much did in the comic books. So for the figures, we'll start off looking at Howard the Duck. Now Howard here stands at just about 2 inches if you count to the top of his hat. He has no articulation at all, but I do like the sculpting detail on him. I like the hat, and I like the face sculpt, and he's got one hand out and one hand on his waist, and he's got the suit with the tie. It's a purple tie, and he's got this kind of maroon or rust color vest, and then it's a darker rust color for the actual suit and the pants, and he's not wearing any shoes. So I like the look of the figure. It would have been nice if maybe we had some articulation. And just for a comparison, here's a look at the Marvel Legends Toy Biz Howard the Duck that we got many years ago with the Silver Surfer figure. It's a little difficult to get Howard to stand. Again, he has no articulation, but the feet are kind of a softer rubber material, so you can kind of bend the feet down a little bit, and I found when you do that, he'll stand better. So you can see there I can get him to stand, but sometimes he'll fall over pretty easily. Next, we'll take a look at Cosmo the Space Dog, and again, sculpting details nice on this, but like with Howard, there's no articulation. This is a completely static figure. Not even the head turns. At first I thought maybe there should be an astronaut helmet or something that goes with this, but there's not. And I looked at the comics. I think in the movie, in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, he's wearing an astronaut helmet, but in the actual comics, he's never wearing a helmet. So I guess it's comic book accurate not to have the helmet. But I do like the sculpting. You've got the little CCCP here on his collar. And the collar's done with red, and then you've got some wash on the white. So again, I think the sculpting detail is pretty decent with this figure. It just would have been nice if we'd had a little bit of articulation. Cosmo does stand pretty well. I've had no problems with getting him to stand. Cosmo stands at his highest point about 2 1/4 inches, maybe just under 2.5 inches, and lengthwise he's about maybe 3 3/4 inches in length. Next up we have Moon Boy, and this figure does have some articulation. Also, this figure is flocked. Everything on this figure, on the body of this figure that's this darkish blue is actually a flocked material, so that's pretty cool. And then he's got the feet, some nice sculpting detail with the feet and the hands. And I like the face sculpt, it looks pretty true. I'm not super familiar with Moon Boy. You know, I believe he used to ride around on Devil Dinosaur, so it would have been cool if we'd gotten a Devil Dinosaur for him, but you know, as it is, you know, I think this is a pretty decent looking figure. Now this figure, as I said, does have some articulation. It's not super articulated, but you can rotate the arms. It does not have elbow joints. He does have swivels at the wrists. You can turn the head to the left and the right. Really no up or down movement. The legs you can get forward. I just knocked it off. It's attached with a ball joint, so just be careful. You can knock it off, but you can get the leg forward some, and you can do it back. Again, no knee joints, and then he has hinges on the feet, so he's got up and down movement with the feet. So again, he's not super articulated, but he does have some articulation. And then this figure stands at about a little over 2.5 inches. Next up we have Lockjaw, the Inhuman dog teleporter, and this is a pretty cool figure. However, again, there's really not much in the way of articulation. I thought the legs were articulated at first, but really not. You can move the back leg a little bit, but there's really not much in the way of actual real articulation with this figure. Now he does have an articulated jaw. You can pull the jaw down and you can push it up, so that's really the only articulation. And sometimes the jaw will fall down on its own. At first I thought maybe there was a gimmick with this with the jaw, but it doesn't appear to be, so I think it's just, you know, you kind of have to push on it if you want it to stay up. And then the detailing is pretty good. Again, you've got some wash effects, so you've got some darker colors on the front, and you can see some red coming, you know, like you would with a regular dog, a pug or whatever. So I like the detailing, and you got detailing with the sculpted teeth and everything, so I like that. And then he's got this little teleporter horn that sticks out of his head, which is done with a white and a little bit of a blue and white wash effect. And then he's got the ears, and he's got a tail and everything. So, you know, I like the way Lockjaw looks. Again, it would have been nice if they'd given him some articulation with the legs, but I do like the way he looks. His length is about just under 5.5 inches, and then the height, if you count to the tip of his teleporter thing, he's about just under 4.25 inches tall. And here's a comparison with the Marvel Universe / Marvel Legends 3.25 inch Inhumans figures, and I think the scale between these figures and Lockjaw is pretty good. Lockjaw is supposed to be much bigger than a normal dog, so again, I think the scale between these works pretty well. And just in case you're wondering, here's a comparison with the Hasbro 6-inch Marvel Legends Medusa figure, the Inhumans Medusa. And I do think, you know, it's not perfect, the scale's not perfect, but if you were looking for a fill-in until Hasbro actually gets around to giving us a 6-inch version of Lockjaw, I think this will actually work pretty decently. We have the collector. Now the collector here stands at about 4.25 inches tall. It does appear to use an older Marvel Universe type mold, so it has decent articulation. The head, I like the face sculpt. I think they've done a nice job with the sculpting with that. I like the little wrinkles on the forehead and down here on his chin and stuff. He's got the white sideburns and then the white hair, and I like how that's sculpted. Skin tone is pretty decent. He's got this cape, which is done with just this vinyl material like we always see, and it's done with a brown color. And then he's got the little amulet on the front of the cape. Then he's got this tunic piece, and you've got some texturing there, and again, it's done with that vinyl material, and it's attached to his belt. The belt is a separate piece, and then he's got the black with the gold metallic striping on it, and he's got the gold boots, the gold gloves, and the gold belt. So overall, I think they've done a nice job with capturing the look of the collector from the comic. And articulation, you can turn the head to the left and to the right. Really doesn't have much in the way of up or down movement, though. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint, so you can get his arm out good. He's got good rotation there. He's got a bicep swivel, single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much. He does not have any wrist articulation, though. He's got this midsection joint, so he's got rotation there, a little bit of crunch down, but not a whole lot, and he can look back a little bit. He's also got a waist swivel. He's got the legs are attached with ball joints, so you can pop them out pretty easy. He doesn't really do the splits very good. You can get the leg forward good, and then you can do the leg out and back pretty good. He's got a thigh swivel. He's got a double jointed knee, so he can bend his knee. The boot limits it a little bit, but he still has pretty good bending there at the knee. And then he's got hinges on the feet, so up and down movement. You do have a little bit of bleeding here on the hinges where you can see some red coming through on the gold. And then he's got ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. So overall, I like the collector figure. I think that figure looks nice. I like Lockjaw. I like the look of him, and I like the size. I think it'll work really well with your 3 1/4 inch figures, and I think it'll even work as a stand-in for your 6 inch figures till we get an actual 6 inch version. It would have been nice if we'd gotten some articulation on the legs for Lockjaw. Same goes for Howard the Duck and Cosmo. That's the most disappointing thing about the set, is the lack of articulation with some of the figures. Moon Boy with the flocking's pretty cool, and I do like the cosmic accessories, and the packaging for this set is really nice as well. So this set is going to be on the pricey side. It costs about $70, and as I mentioned before, if you missed it at San Diego Comic-Con, you will have a chance to get it at Hasbro Toy Shop starting tomorrow, August 9th. I don't have an exact time, so you want to check the site often. We'll have a full gallery of images up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook and or Twitter pages. I'll have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.